Welcome to Crafting in the Night. My name's April, and today I'm going to show you all of my finished objects that I've crocheted since I started back crocheting in November 2021. If you're new here on this channel, I love to share with you all things crochet related. That includes a weekly podcast where I showcase my works in progress and finished objects, as well as tips and tricks, patterns, tutorials, etc. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So in 2021, a friend of mine asked me to help her learn how to crochet. And I had learned to crochet from my grandmother as a child and my mother as well. But for many, many years, for almost 20 years, I hadn't crocheted anything. And so her asking for help kind of rekindled that love of all things crochet. And once I got started, I haven't looked back since. Let's get through my finished objects. So this first one is a more recent finished object, and this is a mesh sweater that I made for my daughter. And I got this pattern off of YouTube. It's just using a navy blue worsted weight yarn, and she's already worn it a bunch. We've washed it a bunch, and it's holding up very well. This is kind of one of my first wearables that I've made, and it was a bit of a learning curve, but it came out really nice. And this is finished object number one, a mesh sweater. The next two objects I have are scarves. Now, I made scarves for Christmas gifts last year, and I made two different designs, and I did gift those, so I don't have those to show you, but I made duplicates of the designs that I gifted because I love them so much. So this first one is a corner to corner, and it's worked up using one strand of white and then one strand of a rainbow yarn that I got from Hobie. And it worked up so pretty. It's a nice sparkle glitter yarn, so I don't know if you can see, but it's got a sparkle in there. And this is the corner to corner one. And then I also made a scarf with the Drunken Granny Stitch. And again, this is holding a strand of, I think it was their Universe yarn, and then kind of a velvety yarn, so it's super, super soft, and I love how it changes color. So these are two scarves I made for Christmas 2022. Now I do have a smaller project that I actually don't have on hand. It's a small crocheted purse, and I'll insert a picture so that you can see, but I made this initially for myself, but my daughter decided it was going to be hers, and so it's off somewhere wherever she's got it stored in her room, but that was a nice little project that I worked up as well. If you're a returning viewer, you know that I love to crochet blankets. So let's have a look at all of the blankets that I've crocheted from November 2021, when I kind of got started back, all the way up and through June 2023. Now, I have crocheted some blankets in July 2023 when I'm filming this, but those will be included in another video at a later point. So the first one we have is this Neon Tulips blanket, and this is a Yarnspirations pattern, and links for all of these patterns will be in the description below. Some of them are my own patterns and I don't have them written up yet, but I will keep this post updated as those patterns come available. I'll update the links. So this one is really nice. It's got a tulip stitch, so it's a V stitch with a cluster up here, and then single crochets, and then I did a simple moss stitch border. And I've done this border, you'll see, on my bee blanket as well with a slight modification. But this worked up really nice. This one took me forever to complete because of these single crochet rows. The V-stitch and the clusters were super fun to work up, but 4 rows of single crochet, especially in black, it doesn't really work for me. So it took me forever to get it finished. In fact, originally I had wanted this blanket to be longer, so it's about 14-15 inches shorter than I wanted it to be, but it's worked out great. We keep it as a couch blanket, and we've washed it tons and tons of times, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful blanket that we enjoy having. One of the first projects that I got started on that really kind of inspired me to get back into crochet is this beautiful blanket. It's the In Love with Color Throw and the Patterns by Yarnspirations. And I worked it up in a bunch of neon colors. And you can see how pretty this is. It's just got so many colors. And this is yet another pattern that was originally going to be for me, but it's actually been on my daughter's bed for more than a year at this point. This pattern was fun. It had lots of different stitches to kind of get me back into the swing of things. It's been washed and washed and washed many, many times, and it's still one of our favorite blankets that we have in the house. As we go through all of these projects, remember that I will have a link where applicable in the description below. Even if it's my own pattern, I'll try to link to a relevant page where you can get more information on the blanket. Now, all of these won't be done when this video is posted, but I will come back and update the links as I get the pages built out on my website. And many of these are patterns that I got off of Etsy or free patterns that I got elsewhere. Those will be linked as well in the description below. So the beautiful Shells blanket is one of my favorite blankets. And this is because of a combination of the yarn, which was butterfly yarn by Hobie, and the stitch, and the way that it just kind of, the color changes, they're absolutely beautiful. The softness of the blanket, and it feels so nice. This one I only had 2 skeins, so it's not very big. It's kind of like a car seat or maybe for a newborn. But this is an absolutely, absolutely gorgeous blanket. And this is the beautiful Shells blanket. So when I travel, I try to take along a project that's simple and easy to work on. And this next blanket was definitely one of those. This is the Spin Your Granny blanket. And I worked this up using Lion Brand's ice cream yarn and then yellow for a contrasting color. And this is a pattern that I got off of Etsy. The granny squares are pretty basic, but the Spin Your Granny part of it is the way that they're joined. The yellow is worked all in one go. So instead of doing a join as you go for individual granny squares, you make the centers first. In this case, I made them out of the ice cream yarn, and then you join everything together at once. And again, this is the Spin Your Grannies. Beautiful, beautiful blanket. And I did just a very simple, looks like a half double crochet border on this one. So this was great because all of the motifs worked up very quickly, and I could just put them in a travel bag and just have, you know, little pieces instead of carrying around a giant project with me. So this was a great travel project for me. If you've watched the podcast, you've seen this one before. This is my Speedy Granny Ruth blanket. This is a pattern from Krista at the Secret Yarnery, and I had such a fun time working this pattern up. Let me find the top for you. It worked up really nicely. It's a nice striped pattern. And again, I'll be posting all of the project details for this on my website. The pattern you can get from Krista's Etsy shop, or you can also, she's got a free YouTube video tutorial, which is going to be the one that's going to be linked in the description for this. But just a beautiful blanket. It changes colors every row, but one of the nice things about this blanket is because of the color changes, we didn't have to weave in any ends, because the way that Krista designed the pattern is that you just make this beautiful fringe. So instead of weaving ends, we had all of this beautiful, beautiful fringe. So this is the Speedy Granny Ruth by Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Next up is the Double Triple Ripple, and this is a pattern that you can get on my website for free. Again, the link is going to be in the description. And this is just a fun textured ripple blanket. And I'm actually working on a second one of these in a camouflage color. And you can see my progress on that if you're watching the podcast each week. But this is just a beautiful, beautiful rippled blanket. This uses Hobby Lobby yarn mostly, but I do have all of the project details again for this on the website. If you watch this channel for any length of time, one of the things you'll learn about me is I absolutely love color. In fact, for me, most of the time, the brighter the better. And this blanket certainly shows that off. This is a neon chevron ripple. This is my own pattern, and I'm still in the process of working this up so that I can post it on the website for you guys. But I have it coming in a variety of different colors. So we have orange, and then pink, green, and then blue, and then it goes back to orange and pink. And then I did this kind of racetrack stripe in the middle. So this is all Granny Stitch. And it's super fun, super easy to work up. This is another blanket that has been all over the house, has been washed probably 82 times. It still smells like fabric softener. We absolutely love it. Super soft, and definitely going to be, you know, one of those heirloom blankets that's going to be around for years. Maybe not heirloom colors, but definitely something that both my daughter and myself enjoy to snuggle under. One of the things I've been trying to do this year is kind of stash down. Not so much because I feel like I have too big of a yarn stash, but because I want to buy in new yarns that I haven't tried before. So I had 2 skeins of Lion brand yarn in the color Bunny Tracks, and I had a vintage stitch that I wanted to try. So the combination of those two resulted in this beautiful shells blanket. So this shell stitch, again, is a vintage pattern. I have translated it, and the whole pattern is available on my website for free. It worked up super nice. It has a beautiful texture to it. And then I did this very basic kind of mesh stitch with the picot border that I think came out super awesome. So this is a vintage shell stitch blanket. Oh man, this is a big pile, but we're definitely getting through it. If you haven't done so already, please give this video a like and be sure to let me know in the comments which blanket is your favorite. Up next is my very first corner to corner blanket. Now this is the one that I learned how to do corner to corner on. This one is made with 3 different colors of Bernat Bundle Up. And I don't remember the color names, but it's something like Beluga and, well, I know one of them's Beluga. The fun thing about this one, it came out car seat size. And the reason it came out car seat size is while I learned the stitch pretty easily, when I was working it up, I didn't understand the concept of how to, when to start decreasing once the blanket reached the size that you wanted. So I started decreasing once the diagonal was the size that I wanted, not realizing that that had nothing to do with the actual width of the project. So it came out, you know, short, but it's still a beautiful car seat blanket. I love how this Bernat Bundle Up feels. It's such a nice yarn. So I'll put this one away for a rainy day, you know, if I have a friend that has a boy or whatever. But yeah, this is my first corner to corner blanket. And now I always have at least one corner to corner blanket going at any one time. So there's another project that I gifted that I don't have, and it's a beautiful V-stitched baby blanket. This was a blanket that was gifted to a friend in the Philippines, and because of the climate over there, I knew that a heavy blanket wasn't really going to be useful in that kind of temperate climate. So I worked up this V-stitch baby blanket for her son, and I absolutely love it. Isn't it adorable? Sometimes you just need an easy project to work up, and that's what these next 2 are. The first one is a continuous granny square. This is using Lion Brand's Roving Divergation, and I had purchased 2 skeins of this and wanted to work it up to see how I liked the yarn. Turns out I absolutely love the yarn. It's super fun to work with, and I love that it's a roving style yarn. So this is how big I was able to get the blanket with 2 skeins. And I just worked until I ran out of yarn, and then I did a very simple single crochet border all the way around. So this one was fun. And then I wanted to try a corner to corner granny square. So the next one was using a Karen cake, and I think this color's been discontinued, but this was one cake worked up corner to corner. And I was kind of annoyed how this kind of color bleed, or, you know, it's not supposed to be there. This is supposed to be a white stripe, but after I kind of like it, I think it adds a little bit of charm to the blanket. So these were my 2 kind of easy projects to work on. We're coming down the home stretch here with just 7 left. This next project is something I call the Modern Granny Stripe. And again, this is one I'm working on the pattern for, but as soon as it's ready, it will be in the description below. Since this project has already been gifted, I'll pop a couple pictures up here so that you can see them. This was worked up for my friend's little girl, And so I wanted nice, bright, pretty colors. And then I worked them up with a row of white in between just to kind of add some visual interest between the stripes. And then finally I edged it with a Bernat velvet. And I'm not sure if it was the baby velvet or the regular velvet, but I put a beautiful ruffled border on it. So this is the Modern Granny Stripes blanket. Another blanket that I finished this year actually was the Juicy Fruits blanket. This is a Yarnspirations pattern. Absolutely beautiful. And I used ombre yarn, so ombre pink, ombre green, and ombre yellow, which gives the blanket a really nice gradiated kind of feel. It goes from light to dark again. And I put a front post, back post ribbing on it. And this is a really nice big blanket. This is not one I'm going to be keeping. This one is going to be donated to Project Linus this month, but it was super fun to work on, and I will be making a variation of this again in the future. This one wound up having a lot of ends to weave in, so I want to do a very similar pattern and work it up with a variegated or self-striping yarn and a solid color. And that way I can carry the yarn up the sides, and it would be, I think, a lot easier as far as ends go. So this is the Juicy Fruits blanket. It is a free pattern, and again, the link for it is going to be in the description. I've really been loving going through some of these old vintage 19th century books on crochet and looking at all of the different patterns that they have. And one of the stitches I found was this beautiful drop V-stitch pattern. And it worked up so beautifully. I used 3 different colors of basic stitch. I used a blue, a yellow, and a white, and it makes this kind of super nice print effect. And then I edged this blanket with a shell, just a simple shell. Again, this is a pattern that will be posted on my website soon. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to try this. I want to try it in a pink, yellow, and white for kind of like a pink lemonade effect. I think that would be so cool. The only thing that I don't like about this blanket is the basic stitch, the combination between the basic stitch yarn and the stitch itself. This is super, super heavy. So when I try it again, I'm going to work it up in a lighter baby weight yarn and see how that goes as far as weight. Now I think this blanket would still be great to lay on the floor for a baby to play on, or it would also be great for a toddler or an older child. I personally feel with this, the combination of the stitch and the yarn, it's too heavy for a baby, but super, super nice blanket. And again, this is not one I'm keeping. This one is also going to be donated to Project Linus. Here's another relatively simple project. This is a granny square blanket, again, playing with color here. I had found this variegated yarn. Let me see. I think it's Wildflowers by Red Heart. I think that's the color. And then so I found some complementary colors from that variegated and made this beautiful granny square blanket. And it's got a nice ruffle border. It's kind of really simple, but really nice. And this was super fun and easy to work on. Again, this is another project that's going to be donated, but I am going to write out all of the pattern details before I do that and get them posted on my website so that if you want to make something with this exact same color pattern, you could easily do that. We're down to our last 3 projects. Next up is this vintage shell stitch shawl. This is a rectangular shawl. And the pattern for this, as well as a video tutorial, have already been posted. Again, both links will be in the description below. But I made this using Lion Brand Mandala sequin yarn, and it's so beautiful and nice. It's my first shawl project. I love the stitch definition. It's kind of got these, there you go, you can really see these textured raised shells with this lace in between them. Super beautiful, super fun project to work up. It was really easy. Once you get the hang of the stitch, it works up really fast. But this was my rectangular shawl project. Next up is a super fun project that I absolutely loved working on. This was my first attempt at filet crochet, and it really was fun. The top part is honeycombs, and those are worked up in Lion Brand Pound of Love. And ironically, I think the color name is Honeybee. And then for the middle section, it spells out the words, well, it has a B and then the word happy. So that's super fun, super cool, super fun. The instructions were really easy. Got this pattern on Etsy, and I'll link to my project page for it. If you go to my project page, again, this isn't my pattern, so I'll have an affiliate link to Etsy, but I've also made up a really handy checklist if you want to duplicate the blanket the way that I did it. So it just helps you keep track of which rows that you're on. I found as I was working through the pattern, I was like, because you have to repeat certain sections multiple times, and I was like, wait, how many times have I done row 2 already, or what row am I on? So I can't, obviously the pattern creator, you should purchase the pattern from the pattern creator, but I just created a checklist so that if you do purchase the pattern, it'll kind of help you track everything a little bit better. But this is the Be Happy blanket. Last but not least, we have one of the favorite blankets that I've created to date, and this is my purple mandala chevron blanket. This was created using the corner to corner method, and the way that this worked up was I built the first panel here to here. So, and then once I worked up that panel, then I did join as you go for the second panel. And this worked up really nicely. You can't even tell in most places that it was joined on separate panels at separate times. So I was able to kind of control the color and really make sure that that blended as well as possible. I'm still working on the tutorial for this. I hope to have it done soon. It's a fairly simple concept. I've just got to kind of sit down to show you how to work the one panel and then how to do the join as you go for the other side. And this one has just a simple half double crochet border. But this is the corner to corner chevron, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for taking a walk down memory lane with me to look at all of the items that I've created from around November 2021 up and through June 30th, 2023. I hope to start doing these videos for you guys monthly. So in August, I'll create a video what I crocheted in July. But in the meantime, on the next screen are going to pop up 2 cards. One is going to be my most recent video, and the other one is going to be my most recent works in progress video. And that'll show you everything that I'm currently working on, which can give you additional inspiration. So be sure to click through onto that to see what I'm currently working on. Until next time, keep calm and crochet on.